This nation is not about poor people, whether they're black, brown, red, yellow, or white. This nation is about rich people, privileged people, powerful people, and to hell with the weak, the poor. They must serve. Harry Belafonte said a few weeks before Martin Luther King was assassinated, they were meeting to talk about the march in Memphis. He went over to his brother, and according to his words, he said, "Martin, you seem melancholy. What's troubling you?" And Dr. King said, "I fear that I am integrating my people into a burning house." We don't see the fire, but the house is burning. He said to my dear brother Harry Belafonte, we have to be firemen to put the fire out. I said, no, we must let the fire burn. When John baptized Jesus, he said, "I baptize you with water, but there's one coming after me that will baptize you with fire." Why fire? Because nothing remains in its present form when fire touches it. If you have made a promise that you don't keep, what are you? You are a liar. Did they promise the Native Americans? Did they write it in treaties? Did they fulfill it? Did they promise us 40 acres and a mule? Did they fulfill it? Brown versus the Board of Education. 50 years later, where's the promise? Is it fulfilled, or are we still in segregated schools? The right to vote, you got it? But the minute they gave it to you, they were finding ways to take it back from you. Can't you open your eyes and see the house is burning? And that's why God said, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive your sins and heal your land. So don't look to them, look to God, look to yourself, break your covenant with hell and death, then make a covenant with Black America, and let's help implement a road map that will free us, and the whites that will be freed can be freed by this. The Mexicans, the Hispanics can be freed by this roadmap. We are a universal people. But those at the top, they're on their way to hell. And if I got any power, I want to push them into hell as fast as I can. We are a full nation now, and we gotta stop thinking like Negroes and colored people and shines and ham bones, and start thinking like free men and women who don't want to live on a plantation no more.
In the 1850s, you really see the first settlement. It's prime agricultural land. People are, looking to sort of make their break.
And who was July Perry?
July Perry was a very powerful black man.
July Perry lived here and was a businessman.
He had the audacity to organize his community to vote in a presidential election.
I remember her telling me that the people came in and they were surrounding the house.
He said, "Look, honey, look at me, honey. It's not time to panic. Listen to me, honey. I am not going to make it. I'm not going to make it." And when he came back out with his shotgun.
You just pray, but you got to get your mom and the kids out of here. There was so much gunfire, you could see the tracers of the bullets flying through the house. Praying and said, "Lord, just show me a way. Show us how to get out of here."
Most of the people whose names that are on the census have never been accounted for.
He was lynched, not because he was doing anything wrong, because he was doing everything right.
Residents of Ocoee remembering the lives lost 100 years ago during the Ocoee massacre, where an entire black community was terrorized after a black voter, Moses Norman, attempted to vote on election night.
I moved here in 1997, and I did not know the history of Ocoee. But today, seeing what's happening now and seeing everyone here, I know that Ocoee is moving forward.
Sharon McWhite is the great niece of July Perry, a friend of Norman, who was among at least 4 people who were killed.
To know that a loved one was lynched for no reason, senseless, that is not something that you talk about day to day.
It's a common phrase, why don't we just let kids be kids? My ex-wife thought our child was too young to learn about racism, yet I taught our daughter about racism from the time she was 6. She's turning 12 in a few months, and she is a fierce ally for the black and brown communities. I remember showing her the documentary 13th on Netflix when she was 9. It had graphic images of black and brown people being hung and dogs being sicked on them. I remember at the time my daughter turned to me and said, "Daddy, I understand why Mommy doesn't think I should be learning about this stuff now." I reminded her that her aunt's first time being called the N-word was at the age of 8. And I asked her, "Do you think that black children have the option to choose whether or not they learn about racism?" She replied no, so I asked her, "Why should white children have the privilege of not having to learn about racism?" Focusing on our white children's comfortability does them a disservice because it prevents them from being the best humans that they can be. Although racism makes white children uncomfortable, it makes black children dead.